It's 1985, and things are the same for head coach Don Coryell and his San Diego Chargers. Coryell's Chargers can put points on the board as well as any team in the NFL. But to quarterback Dan Fouts' dismay, they can't stop anybody else from scoring. It's an old story in San Diego, and it's getting to be a new one in Cincinnati. Through the season's first 2 weeks, the Bengals of second-year head coach Sam Weiss have been what you might call Charger-like. They have given up an average of nearly 35 points in their opening 2 games, both losses, even though their offense has piled up large amounts of yardage. This dilemma is not likely to get any better against San Diego, the best passing team in the NFL. So what we have here on this third Sunday of the season is a matchup of 2 teams that are very similar in style. Both will score a lot of points. Both will give up a lot of points. The last time these 2 teams played in Cincinnati, the wind chill factor made it a crisp 60 below. Today, it's a steamy 100 degrees on Riverfront Stadium's artificial turf as the Bengals host the Chargers on the NFL Game of the Week. The opening kickoff produced the game's first big play. San Diego's Anthony Steele's number 44 fielded the kick on his own 8-yard line and burst through the Bengals special teams coverage for 54 yards. The Chargers did not take advantage of their excellent field position. From the Bengals' 22, Fouts' pass was tipped and picked off by Cincinnati safety Robert Jackson, number 37. Two plays later, the Bengals and Boomer Esiason were also victimized by the tipped pass. San Diego's cornerback, Danny Walters, number 23, was the man on the spot as the teams traded turnovers in the opening minutes. Unexpectedly, defense was setting the tone early on. Defense and the play of San Diego's special teams. This punt by the Bengals' Pat McInally was taken by the Chargers' Lionel James, number 26, and the man called Little Train almost split the coverage for 6. James's return set up the contest's first score, a 20-yard field goal by Bob Thomas, and the Chargers had grabbed a 3-0 lead midway through the opening quarter. The Chargers' defense, to be kind about it, has not gotten off to a particularly good start in 1985. Through 2 weeks, in fact, the statistics show them to be the worst defense in the entire NFL. So it was not surprising when the Bengals successfully went to the air, using their fine wide receiver Chris Collinsworth, number 8. A few plays later, Collinsworth was again the man of the moment, only this time controversy surrounded number 80's catch in the corner of the end zone. The official on the spot immediately ruled the catch to be out of bounds. Collinsworth refused to let the matter end there. He passionately protested the call, contending that if he had been out of bounds when he landed, it was because he had been pushed by the defender. Apparently, Collinsworth had a point. His protest brought about a summit meeting by the officials, who, without the advantage of a second look through the use of videotape replay, could only discuss their different perceptions. Collinsworth and the Bengals awaited the outcome of the officials' gathering. Rarely is a call reversed in the NFL once it is made, particularly a judgment call. This time, however, the call was changed. Collinsworth had his touchdown, and the Bengals had the lead 7-3 late in the first quarter. Another look at the controversial play points up how difficult it is for officials. They have no time to think about the plays, no way to prepare for what might come their way. Collinsworth's foot clearly landed on the out-of-bounds line, and in that respect, the first official made the right call. But there was more to the play than that, and the men in the striped shirts must be given credit for recognizing that and acting accordingly. The end result was that Cincinnati had the lead after one quarter, 7-3. Following the Collinsworth touchdown, the Chargers came back doing what they do best, throwing the football. Fouts used tight end Eric Sievers, number 85, 3 times on a methodical drive that featured the short passing game. The third time was a charm, a 4-yard toss that regained the lead for San Diego. The Chargers stayed with a good thing, as Fouts kept attacking Cincinnati's vulnerable pass defense. Number 14 spread the wealth, using the other tight end, number 88, Pete Holohan, and one of the NFL's most versatile performers, 5'6" 170-pound running back, Lionel James. James' leaping catch deserves a second look. It was merely one part of an overall performance that ranks among the best in the NFL in recent years. In the second half, James would make the game's most important plays in a hair-raising finish. But here in the second quarter, Fouts again found Sievers for the touchdown as the Chargers extended their advantage to 17-7. San Diego had taken control of the game. Fouts was riddling the Bengals defense with short passes to his tight ends, and then going deep when the situation presented itself. Unfortunately for the Chargers, no lead is safe. Their defense gives up yards and points at astronomical rates. Imagine everyone's surprise when San Diego actually shut down the Bengals. The main weapon, hard to believe as it is, was a pass rush. Midway through the second quarter, the Chargers were in an excellent position to add to their 10-point lead. But Fouts was bitten by the interception bug for the second time in the half. This time, the culprit was number 22, James Griffin. The Chargers had made their one defensive stand of the game. To expect another would have been asking a bit much. Sam Weich's Bengals, with second-year man Boomer Esiason at quarterback, were now ready to make their move. Esiason was on his way to his finest game in his brief career. 26 completions for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now he went right back to his main man, Chris Collinsworth. The lanky Collinsworth was proving an elusive figure in the Chargers secondary. Collinsworth had over 100 receiving yards in the first half alone. His 2 straight catches left the ball at the San Diego 1, where former Charger James Brooks, number 21, took it in on the next play. The Bengals had come back with the help of their defense and the passing of Esiason to Collinsworth. There was a long way to go in this game, however, and many, many more points would be scored. The Chargers' 17-13 lead was simply the score at this one moment in the second quarter. It changed, in fact, before the half ended. Chargers cornerback Danny Walters intercepted his second pass of the half with 3 minutes remaining. It set up Bob Thomas's second field goal, a 28-yarder with 32 seconds left until halftime. Through one half, this contest had pretty much followed its script. Both teams had moved the ball well, producing 33 total points. In the second half, the action would really explode as the Chargers and Bengals would light up the scoreboard. The first half had begun with a long kickoff return by San Diego, so the Bengals thought it might be nice if they began the second half in similar fashion. Number 88, Mike Martin, was more than happy to oblige. Cincinnati would gain yardage all day in every conceivable fashion. On their first drive of the period, they added to their totals with help from the referees. Pass interference on cornerback Danny Walters put the Bengals within easy reach of the Charger end zone. Boomer Esiason then promptly flicked a scoring pass to a tiptoeing, tightrope walking Chris Collinsworth. In one of the finest impressions yet seen of Carl Wallenda, the veteran Bengal receiver had his second touchdown of the day. By the time this game was over, Chris would accumulate 10 catches for 161 yards, gaudy totals for a trapeze artist, or anyone else for that matter. With the Collinsworth touchdown, the game was deadlocked at 20 apiece, but that score would not be around for long. Dan Fouts currently has the hottest hand in football, and he'd soon be lighting up the skies again. In his previous game against Seattle, Dan notched his 5th career game of 400 passing yards, tying the NFL record. Although he wouldn't hit that total today, Fouts would provide more than enough firepower to fuel the Charger attack. In just 3 quick plays, San Diego would score again. After a flip to veteran Charlie Joyner, Fouts entrusted the ball to Lionel James, who continued to add to a burgeoning yardage total. After Lionel's 39-yard burst, Fouts capped the whirlwind march with his 3rd touchdown pass of the game. This one to tight end Pete Holohan. Holohan pulled in what is considered a normal reception by his standards. Among the many talented Charger receivers, Coach Don Coryell has always touted Pete as the man with the best pair of hands on the team. The Chargers were back on top, but this was now a game where leads lasted about as long as the regimes of recent Soviet premiers. The Bengals went about wiping this one out by calling on the talents of ex-Charger James Brooks. Brooks picked up most of the yards on his former teammates before tight end Dan Ross, number 84, moved the Bengals into ideal scoring position. From there, it was a mismatch in weight class as Mammoth fullback Larry Kinnebrew, number 28, bowled over all obstacles. With over 6 minutes to play in the 3rd period, the Bengals had tied the game at 27. On a day when both the temperature and the offenses were hot, Cincinnati coach Sam Weish knew his club would have to continue pouring on the points to keep the heat on the Chargers. But even this string of scores would pale in comparison with the torrid flurry of touchdowns that was yet to come. With the game tied at 27, little Lionel James appeared to untie the affair quickly when the Bengals kicked off. This 100-yard run back would have been the first kickoff return for a Charger touchdown since 1962, when Keith Lincoln toted one against the New York Titans in the old AFL. However, an illegal block by San Diego wiped out James' jaunt, and the Chargers were soon forced to give up the football. It turned out to be a 2-touchdown swing, as Boomer Esiason quickly gave the Bengals their first lead since the game's opening moments. Number 36, Stanford Jennings' juggling catch made it 34-27 Cincinnati. But his effort wasn't the only ingredient that made the play work. Esiason was able to scramble out of harm's way, then throw the ball back across the field to Jennings, showing that the Boomers' mobility is going to add another dimension to the Bengal attack this season. With only a few seconds remaining in the third period, the Chargers were now faced with a deficit. But quick as you can say, Lionel James, the scoreboard numbers flickered again. James' 56-yard touchdown run even matters at 34-34. And for the next two series afterwards, the Bengals came close, but for one of the few times all day, were unable to sustain a drive on offense. With the Cincinnati attack temporarily on hold, it became essential for the Bengal defense to stop the Chargers' scoring machine. Although Cincinnati yielded over 500 total yards to San Diego, they did shut the Chargers down on two key fourth-quarter possessions. Number 26, Bobby Kemp, was ecstatic that someone, anyone, namely himself, had finally stopped Lionel James. And just a few plays later, the Bengal defense forced a turnover that appeared to put them in the driver's seat. A fumble recovery and return by safety James Griffin sent Cincinnati's stock soaring. And from there, the final yards were easily negotiated by pro football's biggest back, Larry Kinnebrew. Cincinnati now led 41-34 with a little over 4.5 minutes to play. Whereas the Bengals had relied on a king-sized runner to gain the lead, the Chargers responded with their mighty might, Lionel James, just a few seconds later. James went 60 yards on this game-tying score, adding to his overall offensive total that would reach a staggering 316 yards. When the Bengals tried to answer back, they committed their fifth and costliest turnover of the day. James Brooks' fumble was recovered near midfield as the Charger defense now put the team in position to win the game. Last week and today, San Diego's defenders had given up 90 points, so there has been precious little to smile about. This time, however, they had pounced on a Bengal mistake that would ultimately give San Diego a victory. Bloody but unbowed, the defense left matters to San Diego's surefire Hall of Fame candidate. And with 2.5 minutes to go, quarterback Dan Fouts carefully moved the team into scoring range, using safe, conservative plays that gained yards and ate up time. With 9 seconds remaining on the clock, the Chargers summoned kicker Bob Thomas, an ex-Chicago Bear filling in for an injured Rolf Benerschke. From 34 yards out, Thomas decisively ended this roller coaster ride of a football game. The Chargers' 44-41 triumph had many heroes: Thomas, Dan Fouts, and his reliable receiving corps. But without question, there really was only one man whose personal numbers could compare favorably with the inflated figures on the Riverfront Stadium scoreboard. At 5'6" and 170 pounds, Lionel James is the smallest athlete in the NFL. But the train proved to be pro football's little big man today. the kind of performance that few individuals ever achieve. The Chargers know that they'll have to minimize their defensive philanthropy if they hope to contend in the AFC West, pro football's most competitive division. But even with their present crew, this franchise is one club that refuses to be boring. Win, lose, or draw, San Diego Chargers football games will never put anybody to sleep.